careful what you're doing.
Window and try be shaking.
When you see the parang bang passing.
Window and try be shaking.
If you know you do anything wrong.
Window and try be shaking.
Listen for your name in the parang. Last year when I sang about Nolly and say she making you rampel baby, everybody jump up on me chest and say time to give the girl a rest. They try tell me right on that she knows Rampel bring a big bag of child clothes. Up to now we can see a newborn. Seem like Nolly commit abortion.
Window and try be shaking.
Be careful.
A pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Be shaking.
And how are we doing this afternoon?
Window and try be shaking.
If you know you do anything wrong,
I hope each and every one of you guys are doing fine.
name in the parang.
Today being Monday, the 8th day of December 2025.
I come down like the American. We launching an attack on Saddam. You pick up a nice little lady. All you make a
It is
baby.
the holiday season.
On. You send her back by she mother home. Now you walking and shaking your hand. Behaving like you is a madman.
It is another class in session program.
Be careful.
I am yours truly, Royalty James, for another wonderful one.
When you see the parang.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon.
If you know you do anything wrong.
Window and try be shaking.
Listen for your name in the parang.
Wherever you are right now, I want to big up every constituency right now, alright?
When they tell Grenadians I'm coming, everybody started running. See them running helter-skelter. They looking for place to shut.
The new National Party Youths,
To find photo
Youth A Lot Vibes right now is on.
to us. They get part having sex with a dog.
Window and try be shaking.
Be careful what.
We want to kick off 2026 with you
Shaking.
at the center of the shared progress and unity, alright?
Try be shaking.
If you know you do
We want to hear from you.
Window.
Do you want a concert, a sports day,
name in the
a
parang.
history of the party series, vision board events, talent nights, or something totally fresh? Tell us your ideas right now.
Yeah, and Abby.
All you need to go onto the YouTube,
She go and
the Facebook NNP Youth,
that is she husband.
and go into the comment section and speak on whatever it is that you want to hear, alright?
When he tell Casey I don't want.
Every suggestion will be taken into account.
Window
If you see someone who
Be careful what.
have your ideas,
be shaking.
When you see
give the comment a like.
Window and try.
This would also help in judging the method, alright?
Window and try be shaking.
listen for your name in the parang.
What's one youth event you would like us to host in January, alright? Let's make this one epic.
I don't know
Let's make this one ours, alright?
what me good soldier baby. They say from since Saturday evening. He and his friends climbing and drinking. Sunday when they start to get more high. I heard about it and nearly cried. When the friends say he feeling horny. Baby make him suck on the lolly.
Window and try be shaking.
Be careful what you're doing.
Window and try be shaking.
When you
So
see the
we-
parang bang passing.
Alright, so we're going to take this one down right now. And we are going to officially start our conversation this afternoon. I hope each and every one of you guys are ready for another wonderful one as we venture into having another wonderful evening of conversation. Alright? I always do get a feedback that I don't want when it comes to my headsets. And I'm certain that if I'm hearing it, you guys are hearing it also. Alright? So I want to remove the feed that you're hearing, and I'm hoping that now that with the projection of my voice more or less that we are going to have that. So if I take down the volume on the mic and leave the volume here, you should be able to hear me a little bit clearer. So again, a pleasant good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm hoping that you definitely would have had a wonderful weekend and you're ready to face another week by God's grace, mercies, and His element of strength that is within many of us. I'm hoping that you're ready for another wonderful one. All right? Let me start by, ladies and gentlemen, commending the members of the opposition. Last week we saw the budget debate read last Monday, and on Thursday the responses would have started, and it started with the political leader, Honorable Emmeline Pay. And with the bright smile on my face, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you it was a deliberation well thought through, thoroughly executed, and dealt with in every sector by sector. Now that is how you deal with a debate, right? That is how you answer to a budget. You don't just holistically start showing fame or ensuring that your intent is to say that you are opposing of SEAM, but you want to ensure that you put everything into perspective. And so I was happy when the political leader took stance and sector by sector showed the Grenadian people the real elements of what we were dealing with in this budget debate. And so I would like to myself, and if you guys go over to the NNP's page, the NNP's Facebook page, and we're asking many of you guys to subscribe to NNP Grenada, Carriacou PD Martinique, just typing that and you would be able to get into the page, and you follow the page or like the page and you will get all the information. All right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, starting with one of the issues that was addressed. Yes, and we're going to just touch on them very briefly. Today, I would not stay long on them. 3,018 homes destroyed. 43 rebuilt so far. Where did that money go? Carriacou and PD Martinique, we're asking you. Yes? No, as aforementioned, 3,018 homes were destroyed in Carriacou and PD Martinique. $215 million spent in housing in Carriacou and PD Martinique. Only 43 rebuilt thus far. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do the math. Yes? Because all you know me, I like my percentage. I like my percentages. So I want to ensure that we do it by percentage so you understand. Because remember, every percent is out of 100. Yeah? So 215. And if you divide that by 43, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the number of 5, just about 5 houses that, you know, we could say maybe we can say per year, maybe, or we could put that in perspective. Yeah? 215 million, and you have 43 houses, then you're talking about nearly each house was a mere, what, $5,000? Thereabout, because that is what we have to look at it. Yeah? When you say $50,000, yeah? Based on each house, yeah? Or 500,000, because if we continue to go up, I expect we're expecting to see better houses, yeah? See prefab houses and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, another comparison, the NNP would have removed VAT, environmental levies, other electrical charges, cut non-fuel charges by 25%, electricity bills went down. The reintroduction of VAT, environmental levy, the reverse of the 25% non-fuel reduction, add new renewable energy charge, and we saw the increase in electricity bill. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't cease by saying, and I would not go in depth today in letting you guys know the truth about the budget that was presented. Ladies and gentlemen, if you understand what a deficit budget means, and today I want to take the opportunity to enlighten you as it relates to what a deficit budget is. You see, a deficit budget means the government or the entity spend more money than it brings in, or revenue, or for a specific period, usually a fiscal year, resulting in a negative balance that must be covered by borrowing, thus increasing the national debt. Essentially, expenses exceeds income, like spending $12 billion when you only collect $10 billion, leaving $2 billion in gap. When government expenditures, spending of services, defense infrastructures, etc., are greater than tax revenue and other income. The cause of such often happens during economic downturns, increased welfare spending, or due to policy changes like tax cuts or increase in investments. The consequences: the government borrows money to cover the shortfall, which adds to this country's total debt. The contrast and surpluses: a budget surplus is the opposite, occurring when revenue exceeds its spending. Now, let me take you now to a time when Grenada did have a contrast surplus, right? The term surplus in Grenada primarily refers to fiscal supplies where government revenues exceed expenditure, enabling reduction in public debt and accumulation of reserves. The contrast of potential deficit, which requires financial thorough borrowing or drawing of the services. Well, we have gone past that. Ladies and gentlemen, a record can show that the 2018 New National Party government showed Grenadians what a contrast with surplus really means. And so we from time to time have seen that our past administration, have brought contrast with surpluses in years like 2018, 2021, and more so recent, just before the pandemic in 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, when we look at a government producing or telling the Grenadian people, hey, for 2 years, or let's say 2 budgets presented in 1 year, and the Prime Minister boasts that the Prime Minister boasted that that was an accomplishment for them. As he termed it in his own words, he said it was what, I want to get the precise word that he said. It was a breakthrough year. It was a breakthrough year for the Ministry of Finance to present to us 2 budgets in 1 year. And again, he deemed it as a breakthrough, like something great. You know they like history. So I guess he sees this as historical. But for those of us who knows better, them time they lie him in so he doesn't know. So he could make those statements. But if you remember, in 2013, the then NDC administration failed to present a budget in 2012. And so in the year 2013, 2 budgets were presented to Grenada. April of that year, and then December of the very said year, the New National Party presented a budget, a more fiscal budget. Yeah? And so the Prime Minister is unaware of that when those information is there in the parliamentary records. As I always say to people, this is an administration that like fanfare. They like to say, we're the first. We did that. So they like to make their voice loud, but they like to make their voice loud with nothing. Because they know nothing says that they were the first to do it. But again, as I said, it is one that I leave to them. Now I'm about to play something. I was going to play something. I'm hoping that you guys would be able to hear it. But somehow or the other, I feel my audio have been giving problems. in the anyways, it goes to speak to the presentation made by ministers. Now, one of the things I noticed in the budget presentation is what I assess to be that members of the House, especially on the government side, are well unaware as to what a budget debate calls for. Now, ever so often on a budget debate, members take the time off and it has become a practice that they have taken the time off to basically give a brief synopsis, and especially before it was in the closing of their speech, where members would thank their constituency, reassure them, or give them some form of reassurance, and then proceed to deal with the different ministerial allocation. So, for example, a member might speak and thank his constituency, or his or her constituency, and then the allocation of, let's say, $100 million that goes to agriculture, that member might start to break down how they are going to deal with those allocated fundings. Ladies and gentlemen, I was bewildered with the response or the deliberations made by Honorable Andy Williams, Honorable Delma Thomas, Honorable Tevin Andrews, Honorable Ron Redhead, the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister. I was utterly disappointed with those deliberations on the mere fact that a 3.5-year-old government still bask and trying to prove to themselves, it can't be the Grenadian people anymore, that they have done things that the past administration has never done in what, quote unquote, the MIT minister said he would come to be 22. I refuse to even believe that in the backs of the minds of those 5 individuals that they can rest easy on what they presented to the Grenadian people. Because 45% was spent basically throwing shade, saying this and saying that, and looking for a laugh in parliament. Instead of them knocking table, Bebe Kuntes and them. And then you had another mere 25% that went to speaking about irrelevant things. That's our tongue. Irrelevant things. Still seems like Sister Delma Thomas is begging for the Grenadian people to understand why she left or moved on in her political career. We have gone past that, Sister Delma Thomas. We don't want to hear that anymore. You're grown enough, you've moved on. But every opportunity given to speak, you see, the subconscious mind have a way of reflecting on things when you, in your mind's eye, you don't want to think about it, but you have to. And most of the time, the wretchedness in you speaks volumes than, ladies and gentlemen, what is the real thing that comes from you. How can people therefore trust you? You stood in the very same house. On one side of the table. And you say, NNP is the best thing for Grenada. Best thing. After sliced bread, you preach it at all pulpit. And you stand up on the other side and say, for 22 years, our young people was left waiting. You see, maybe if somebody told me you said that on your dying bed, I would not have been able to say, well, no man, there is nothing, she you know. Delma Thomas, take it from me. Hush about NNP. Move on. Move on, Sister Thomas. That is life. Life has a way of motivating persons to do what they damn well please. Move on. You're not changing the script. You only move forward when you forget your past. But you see, your past had such an impact on you that he dare not leave your mind. That's what bothers you, you know. It's not what you did, you know. It's how you did what you did. And that is what is bothering you. And I'm going to stand somewhere within this world and see you turn and tell the NNP, sorry. I remember I said this on this program. Because no grown person is expected to act in that manner and look for sympathy for a decision made by you. You moved on. Every opportunity given to speak, you're maligning. There are members on that side of the table, podcasters, who said you can't even speak. You couldn't even talk. There are members who held your hand and supported you morally, intellectually. Now they should have showed shades and say, oh, when they give her, they help her, and they're trying to reproach. Ungratefulness what cause reproach. Lady, move on. Every time you speak, and you speak of the past administration, you're daunting on yourself. You're throwing shade at you. You sit on that table, you drank from that cup. You dined on that table. If you have nothing to say, say nothing at all. Never damn the bridge you cross. Hence the reason why you're damning your political career. And every time we see you, you wear a plastic smile. Because why? Your heart is not joyful. That's the facts. That's the facts of life. We move on sometimes, and we know we did our ex-girlfriend or we ex-boyfriend bad. And we try to live the best of life. But we can't be that way. We see it often feels like we were pretending. Because we know we did bad, you know. We know we did wrong. Maybe we wanted to end it, but we didn't end it in the right way. And in order to make we ex look bad now, we say all kind of things about we ex. When we ex move on, we ex forget about you. How many times on a podium or in conversation you hear Dr. Mitchell speak of Adelma Thomas, a Clarice Modest? How often do you hear them? She left. We said thank you. Still claimed you as one of the most trustworthy ministers or members that had ever been in the party. Move on, woman. Move on. We thank you for your service. Every minute you get is a lie. About there was stagnant programs. You lie. In the depth of my heart, I know you're not a wicked person, you know. You're trying to be good, but your defiance comes from an attitude you can't control. Be like God doesn't join and say he's a bad person. No. You're one of the persons, even on the NNP, I always looked up to. And like your growth, I like to see how you develop. Move on. That is all I have to say about you. Move on. The Prime Minister You see, he continues to deteriorate in his deliberation because he have exhausted or exasperated his lies and attempt to defy people. They start to see you now. They start to see you. So you have moved from the puppet to the clown. Because now, everything you say in parliament or every time you talk, you attempt to be somebody you're not. Hence the reason why a whole meme go around with you dancing. the characteristics, sir, does not lie with you. And so we understand your intelligence and your qualification. Don't try to be what you're not. You ain't no melee man. You no melee man. Don't try to be no melee man. Being in the House of Parliament and try to say things for laugh. That know you. Don't papi show yourself. People laughing you. Your deliberations last week was mere empty. We could have taken that speech that you gave in the rally in Telescope and drop it right into the budget. Right into the budget. Tevin Andrews. Well, you know what I've made my mind up, ladies and gentlemen? I am no longer addressing Tevin Andrews when I honestly did learn how much subjects Tevin have. I don't think we are on educational level here. We're not on an educational level. So what we get from the gentleman is what we expect. Yeah? What we get from the gentleman is what we expect. We don't expect nothing more. Right? We don't expect nothing more. And so, what he would always do in Parliament, and you see, he always tried to believe to himself, and that's the thing about people that has low educational achievement. They often believe that the comparison is with the person in the room with the most education. And so, if nobody on the other side speaks when Dr. Mitchell speaks, he wants to be heard. Because you see, he's the empty barrel in the room. And he realized that he's the most filled barrel. And so he wants what the big barrel have. But it didn't come so, brother. It came with hard work, dedication, and a care and a love for people. It didn't cost the police. Yeah? It didn't cost the police. Or he didn't ask teachers and others to go and buy the bottle of water for this. He didn't do that as a statesman in his youthful political career. So take many seats, Brother Tevin. Take a little seat. Maybe in the pre-primary class. In university conversation, you ain't ready for that. Ron Redden, given an opportunity right after Dr. Mitchell. And at the end of Dr. Mitchell's speech, basically gave a resounding and heartfelt thank you, not just to members on his side, but to the entire House. Even more so that the Speaker of the House, as a grown man, understood. And his call for love and unity and development among the Grenadian people, more so everybody within the House, was sounded. And then Bebelimbe, Bubulu, stood up. But you see, they are so scripted that despite the way Dr. Mitchell ended or started, in his mind, he wanted to say something since before Dr. Mitchell don't speak. So he didn't hear what Dr. Mitchell had to say, but he made up in his mind, that is what I'm going to say. And then, mouth open, or jump. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that no government must spend more than what they earn. What causes that is when government does not implement the avenues to collect the avenues of an increased employment, quote unquote. Tell me you ever, tell me your unemployment go down, but your deficit shows a different number. If more people are working, the probable expectation is that your income must match. Because remember, during the process of budget consultation, November 28th being the specific date, Grenadians knew or heard that the unemployment rate went down to 7.5%. Yet still, a government presents a budget of deficit when your unemployment goes down. What causes government's expenditures to increase or collection to increase is when people pay what? More taxes. So if more persons are working, the expectation of more taxes to be collected must be seen. You see, I often say you could hide to buy land. You can hide to walk it. So I look at lie about the unemployment rate in this country. But the numbers, the realistic numbers, ain't go match up. They ain't go match up. Because at the end of the day, people are going to see. People are going to see. Ladies and gentlemen, I could never follow this slogan, things happening. I could never. My lady often tell me, me foot hot. I just be all in every nick and cranny. I'm not saying they're not NDC supporters, but there are persons who can admit that this is an administration that have failed them. One told me recently, he said, bro, I just feel all you coming back there. Blatantly like that. Blatantly like that. And he's from the area of Mr. Tellisford. These men are making excuses day and night, time and time again. I want to jump over to St. John's for a while. Brother Dabrio would have posted it recently. And in my research over the weekend, I had to read this one. In the St. John's area. The Housing and Bathroom Brigade program in St. John's once worked. We had 5 bathroom brigades and 6 housing repair teams, delivering a bathroom every 2 weeks and helping families fix their homes with real hands-on support. But since 2022, that system have collapsed. Homes that were already constructed when the government changed was simply abandoned. The brigade never returned to finish them. Today, many families are living in half-completed houses, not because of anything they did, but because of the political discrimination. To make matters worse, the member of the brigade team has been cut. The strong, active program we built has been reduced, and now in some cases, people are being given materials they can't instill or install, especially the elders, unemployed, and those with no support. All across St. John's, people are reaching out to me saying the same thing. We feel forgotten. But let me be clear. We are ready, waiting to put the work in. Our track record speaks for itself, and the ending of love. We delivered before, and we will deliver again. St. John deserves leadership. Works for everyone, not just a few. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the realistic fact in St. John's. I often say one of my favorite persons on the NDC, and because of maybe she last name, is Kieran James. Speaking more so to her youthfulness. I like the fact that she's young. I like the fact that she has been given the opportunity as a young politician. But your results, my dear sister, has been deplorable. The history of St. John's in years, there are people who like to see their representative. They like to know that their representative is there with them. Remember Grace Duncan? You could take Sister Duncan from Guave. You could not take the Guave from Sister Duncan. Clarice Charles, vibrant, energetic, powerful, strong. When we choose representatives, we get persons that are rooted within the system in Guave. They know the lands. They know Back Street. They know High Street. Huh? They know Florida. They walk those streets. Grand Roy, all those areas. Concord. They knew those areas because they were rooted with these persons. St. John's. Don't do it again. Don't make that mistake again. We are not whooping representation. We know what we have. And you know what is amazing, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm around all these persons that are not in government today. The Dr. Modest, the Brother Dario, the Nolan Thompson, the Amanda Japal, Dr. Mitchell. I am with them. We were there. Let me say to you, these persons are doing the impossibles. These persons are reaching out to people while not in government. Don't talk about an Elvin Nimrod. Nimrod Oliver. And Brother Cox. These persons are working overtime. Imagine an opposition integrating themselves, collaborating themselves at present with a company that offers persons to work on cruise lines. And if you ask the individual in whom they're going to label NNP now, he didn't go to NNP. NNP came to him. They came to him. They said, listen to me. We hear this is what you're offering. We want to be a part of it. Ask him. Ask him. They didn't approach him. NNP did. And this is a party could have sit back and say, man, not with a day in power. Dr. Modest and I are often together. And never so often when my father is a farmer. Call Dada for me. See where Dada did. See where Daddy did. She want to buy pumpkin. She want to buy this. She want for she hot soup. She hot meal in Victoria in St. Mark's on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Think she have to do that? Let me tell you something, people. Service doesn't come out in you. Service don't leave you. When you're a person who likes to serve, it's in you. Ask any retired teacher. Ask any retired police officer. There are times I am working on my very own timing now, and I'm seeing things. And the police officer in me just jump out. And I'm talking about just about 12 years. Imagine the people that do 30 and 35. And I've seen it all. Service don't come out in you. And these persons having been elected to serve, and they're still not serving. So when will they? When will they? I remember in 2008, NDC And one time, I same budget presentation, when Sylvester Qualley stood and in the budget debate, giving constituency update, and he said, how much funeral he go to? How much fear? Imagine. Let me tell you something. Politics is that thing you can't force yourself. Statesmanship and service comes naturally. Ladies and gentlemen, God spare me life. I am going to stand here in this Grenada and watch Emlyn Pay become the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou Pity Martin. I mark my words to date, December the 8th, 2025. These people know what is service. I want to read something from a particular page. And I want you to understand that sometimes when you share sentiments, it's not you alone. Political discrimination in Grenada must stop. No Grenadian should suffer because of their political choices. And it starts to raise its ugly head again. See one post where an individual telling a particular senator, be careful with all them NNP that works with the government. So everybody that is employed with the government must be NDC. See the concept? See the thinking? A woman from Grand Valley was denied assistance simply because she supports the NNP. According to the distressed resident, she went seeking material help to repair a deteriorating wooden home. A structure is literally crumbling. But instead of compassion, she was met with rudeness and disgrace. A government officer assistant told her, all you voted for Cox, why you don't come and help all you know? She said she stood there in shock and humiliation. And for another woman to tear down a fellow woman in need of absolutely shameful. No reason. Her bowels of compassion were shut, and hurt left this poor woman feeling so embarrassed. She wished the earth would have opened and swallowed her. Is this the Great South Andy Williams boasted about in the parliament just days ago? A Great South where struggling citizens are mocked and denied help because of their political belief? If this is what we've come to under the NDC administration, then God help us here in Grenada. Not even in this country lives like wealthy government, not everyone, sorry, in this country lives like wealthy government ministers collecting $14,000 a month. Not everyone is set for life, like Tevin Andrews claimed. Not everyone can boast of giving away $300,000 of their personal money, like Kieran James. There are vulnerable people in our communities who genuinely need support. Yeah? And instead of compassion, they're being turned away with insults. Yet we keep hearing this empty talk of Deacon Mitchell and NNP have people poor. Let's be real. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 11 says, the poor you will always have with you. The Prime Minister's reckless words of March 2025 rally, you have to know your people, are now manifesting in the worst ways. NDC supporters claiming they weren't getting assistance. So he told them to know their people, meaning NDC people. And now ordinary citizens are paying the price of dangerous precedents. Where is the unity he preached of 2 years ago? Instead, divisions and rifts have widened every day. What the Prime Minister seems to forget of those, there is no NNP people or no NDC people. It is Grenadian people. We may have different political views, but it's our constitutional right to support any party we choose. No citizen should be punished to exercise that right. In today's Grenada, if you don't support NDC, you suffer. This is wrong. This is dangerous. This is not democracy. A government is elected to serve all the people, not just some. True transformation means uplifting the vulnerable, not disenfranchising them, and the slogan "things happening" need to stop, because the truth is things are not happening for the poor, the struggling, and the malingering that are being left behind, staggered and denied. Grenada deserves better. Grenada deserves dignity, and political victimization must come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, this government is in a can't help it situation. That is what it is. A can't help it situation. However, ladies and gentlemen, last evening I read a post where one person stated that Mr. Cornwall said on a political, not on a political, but on a podcast, that there is no high cost of living in Grenada, and he wants someone to prove it. Tell Mr. Cornwall the name of my program. Mr. Cornwall, come to the front of the class. What shows high cost of living in a country? A high cost of living is primarily shown by significantly high prices for essential expenses relative to average income in a specific location. These increases costs make it more difficult for individual and household to afford basic necessities and maintain the high standard of living. Key indicators that shows cost of living is high includes house costing, rent and mortgage payments are disproportionately high, often consuming a large percentage of household income. Typically, the single largest expense, high demand and low supply, is desirable. Ladies and gentlemen, the average cost, and let's do this honestly, the average income in Grenada is $1,500. Average. A very high density of persons pay that. What at this stage is the minimum cost for somebody who's renting right now? Renting, we're talking renting. Usually, that ranges between $700 to $1,000. That's the average somebody's going to pay for rent in Grenada. The lowest. If there are still persons paying $500 for rent, then it is very minimal. Now, with that same costing, somebody who's owning their house, you have your own home, right? You have your own place. With mortgages, even if we heighten your salary to $3,000, and you're paying the bank backup mortgage, what is the average amount you pay back a bank for, let's say, $100,000, $150,000 home? The average would be $900 to $1,200 you are going to pay back. We are talking there, ladies and gentlemen, in the first instance of $7 to $1,000, that is a high proportion of your salaries already going to housing costs. And we're talking about the maintenance of home. We're talking about the circumstances where persons are paying mortgages and where persons are paying rent. We're talking at least 45 to 50, 60% in some cases of your salary goes to just that. Now, if you own your house, you don't owe mortgage, you don't owe thing. Let's break it down. If your house is insured, you own your house and your house is insured, how much you pay for your house insurance? Even if you're not paying insurance, what is your light bill? Your water bill? Yeah? Your cable bill? Yeah? And then your supplies, your thing to eat and all these other things. What cost does that round up to? In some cases, the same $700 to maybe $800. Because even if you own your house and you're working for $1,500 or you're working for $2,000, $3,000, so never about $1,000 in some cases. It's just your home expenses. So housing costs in Grenada, let's be honest. Housing costs in Grenada is high. And that plays a significant indication that cost of living is high. Cornwall 1, Prince 1, Cornwall 0. Essential goods and services. Noticeable prices hikes in everyday staples like groceries, utilities, electricity, water, gas, and healthcare premium and out-of-pocket expenses. I took it on my own to type in essential goods and services, are they high in Grenada, to further my investigation. He said essential goods and services in Grenada can be moderately high, especially in imported items due to resilience on imports, small market size, and vulnerability to external shocks. But basics need like water and some foods benefit for local produce, spice and some agriculture product, and good infrastructure. However, healthcare has shortage and imported goods faces higher costs, though food basics often have made lower taxes. So yes, Cornwall, it is moderately high essential goods and services in Grenada. Go on, 2 for Prince, none for Cornwall. Moving on, transportation expenses. Increased costs of car payments, gas, insurance, and public transit passes. I don't apply to us, but I'm mentioning it. I went to go on order. I say, transport expenses, is it high in Grenada? What's my answer? Yes, transportation in Grenada can be expensive, especially taxis, private cars due to gas prices and import costs. But local buses offers a very affordable alternative, while government initiatives aim to public transport sustainable residents. Taxis cost significantly more than local buses, with airport transport being pricier, making private vehicles a rental considerably investment, with factoring in fuels and purchase prices. So when it comes to an indication that cost of living is high, transportation expenses play a significant role. And when I ask Google about transportation in Grenada, I say yes. So I give you 2. So how much for me now? 3 for Prince, 0 for Cornwall. We move on. Right? Increased borrowing and debts. A higher proportion of people have to borrow more money to use more credit than usual to cover monthly shortfalls. Eh? Must I say? The government just presented what? 2 deficit budgets. And seeking to do what? Borrow. Why are you doing it? And I'm not talking about the people. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about government. Government. You plan to borrow in excess of $560 million as a government. And it says to you, once somebody has an increase in borrowing and debt, it shows a significant high cost of living. If the government is doing it, if the government had to borrow, where you live for the layman man? So yes, how many persons go around, the persons that are working, the average man that earns a salary, ask him if he doesn't have a debt in a financial institution, or maybe somebody or something The average man. So I gave you 4 significant areas that shows that cost of living is high. 4 significant areas. You have a member of government that says, show me that cost of living is high. I just did. So take that piece and send for Cornwall for me. I gave you 4 significant reasons why and how it will be high. I showed you. Stop happy showing people. Stop it. I mean, we are not high compared to other Caribbean countries. We're moderate. Stop telling people cost of living too high. Government who is government borrowing to get through their financial debts. Borrow here, borrow there. Supplement budgets in order to suffice budgets in Grenada. And you're telling people cost of living too high. Stop it. And you see, this is what I aim to do when it comes to this administration. Stop papi showing people. Stop papi showing people to look good. Lying to the people. And for what? They're not dealing with the real issues. Only today, doing my own little research, even in the process of doing my own little research, I had to read. A male student today at St. Andrews experienced a serious injury when he was stabbed in the neck by another student. The victim requires 8 stitches to treat the wound. Last week, what we saw in one of our schools, young ladies, GBN is reporting young men gambling in canteen in the morning time. These are the real issues. Stop playing political games. Stop making political puppy show. Get real about it. Only a set of numbers and you're not coming on the ground and realizing the struggles of some people. Talking about unemployment, people stop will look for work. Where they go look? Where they go look? The private sector saying no, and government does not have any initiative of any form of employment. One in the deliberations by Brother Peter David, he said that persons don't want to work again. They're exhausted. They are exhausted. How many persons are interested? What young people? What young people? Before every time you stand up, if you're walking by the fish market, every time you see young people passing in a little black pants, a little white top, where they going? Imani. Government have a program. Government have a job fair. Government have a this. In our time, young people was enthusiastic. They're getting out there. Increase in school violence. Increase in gambling. Increase in gun-related offenses among young people. Among young people. And our government could boast about when it comes to our security of our nation is pay and grade. Pay a man to work more and he don't doing nothing. You go pay a man to work more and he ain't doing nothing. How much times you have seen that happen? More money doesn't mean productivity. Productivity is what brings more money. So you don't give a man and expecting him to work. He don't work. But when he working, you give him more. Because you've seen the result of what he can produce. Give you $5,000 and I say to you, produce 6,000 or 6 million of the product. You can't give me. But without $5,000, I see you give me. What if will happen in there? I'm giving you from what you sell. Or what you make from. So it becomes profitable. That is productivity. Beef me up. See my production. And give me more money. Don't give me more and think or feel. People are afraid to spend. You don't believe that? Under this administration, people are afraid to spend money. Anytime NDC in power, people afraid to spend money. They're afraid. What the pensioners they boast about? Show me anything, any investment. You know any pensioner in Grenada, any investor, any investment, small investment. Maybe they get a little money and you see they build a shop, or maybe they buy a piece of land and start to walk, or they buy some pig and start to mine, or they hire some people to do something. Tell me anywhere in Grenada you see any pensioner had an investment, so that the money could come back into the economy as they expected it. Feel when Dr. Mitchell speak, he is speaking from a perspective of hatred. See a lot of all you sitting there now and all you wondering how this man did what he did. How this man did what he did. He did it through understanding. And hatred, understanding. And so nowadays, you see many persons commenting as it relates to the services of Dr. Mitchell, and still they're trying to ridicule it. It's what they do say. But you see, the thing about the good in a man can rub it off. No matter what you do, ladies and gentlemen, can rub off what has been written. That is a fact. That is a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me to the end of my program for today. I am happy that many of you guys would have joined me. And tomorrow, definitely we're going to be here again. One person did reach out to me and ask, as I did last week, I asked that I do the presentation of the rebuttal. Now somebody sent me something and I hope it doesn't. I'm going to listen to it outside of the program because I don't want it to have obscenities. Yeah? But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, tomorrow, maybe before the start of the program, or maybe sometime during the day tomorrow, I'm going to post the response from the political leader so that you guys get a little listen again, and maybe I'll post it and do a program, or just post that alone. All right. But I want to thank many of you guys that have been there with me for the year thus far. Yeah, I really want to say thank you, because you know, sometimes moving around, being a podcaster, you hear many things, and there are days you feel down, you feel daunted, and you would ask yourself, like, what is happening? Is it that you continue with this process of, you know, supporting a political organization, or do you just move on? And I'm relatively young, and sometimes they're discouraging days. There are days when you just want to throw that towel. Yeah? And at one point, I started to drag my foot when it comes to the program. I'm being very honest. And many persons who met me and said to me, "I'm not hearing you, man. You're on tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but then there are times you're on and you're not seeing me, or you're not hearing me." I would say for the past month and a half, I have always tried and been trying to be as consistent. Yeah. One, the fact is, I have a day job. That's from 9 to 1. But I have a newborn baby. I do other little things, little gigs, maybe something to do. And I have 2 teenagers, my kids, who lives with me. So I know my task is sometimes really tough. You know, you're coming from work sometimes 1 o'clock and I'm like, should I walk to the studio? Should I go to the studio? And I've always said the love and motivation that many of you guys give me, the encouragement, yeah, both members and the supporters alike. Royalty, you're good, royalty, your day, royalty. I can't end the year in saying how grateful I am for your support, how grateful I am for your love, how grateful I am that many of you guys continue to pat me on the back and say, keep going. And heading into what could be a campaign year, I believe my motivation is up. Yeah? There are times I'm listening to stuff and getting ready for the program, and my lady would be like, you really like politics, you know. But the love and dedication and loyalty I've grown for the new National Party is not one that I intend to let go of anytime soon. For another political term, I am geared and ready to cast a ballot for the new National Party again. And if you were ready, just press the likes or the love on your YouTube or Facebook page right now. Just type or maybe put the hat of the green hat, that is. Or maybe don't put no hat, put a house. Right? And show that love and support that we are ready and dedicated to cast a ballot for the new National Party again. With that being said, as I have aforementioned, I am ever so grateful, ever so honored to continue to do this. Brother Sheldon should be back up and running anytime soon. I know many of you guys have been asking, should be back up and running. There might be a few changing to the settings, but he's going to update you guys on that. I don't know if any of you guys saw he was testing the other day, but he's going to be back up and running sometime soon. Right? As soon as that happens, I know he is going to inform general public. Right? With that being said, I want to say thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here today. Catch you back tomorrow again in another class in session program with yours truly, Royalty James.
Come out from by, you them type and them shit. Lord, hurricane coming again.
Window and JP shaking.
So be careful what you're doing.
Window and JP shaking.
When you see the parang bang passing.
Window and JP shaking.
If you know you do anything wrong.
Window and JP shaking.
Listen for your name in the parang. Last year when I sang about Nolly and say she making rampel baby, everybody jump up on me chest and say time to give the girl a rest. They try tell me right on that she knows rampel bring a big bag of child clothes. Up to now we can see a newborn. Seems like Nolly commit abortion.
Window and JP shaking.
So be careful what you're doing.
Window and JP shaking.
When you see the parang bang passing.
Window and JP shaking.